What's going on, guys? Welcome back. SquireTrades here, back for day 3 of daily uploading every day. Road to becoming a full-time trader. Episode 3, trying to quit my job, trying to make this full-time. Let's review quickly what I saw going into yesterday's overnight session. So I saw this. What I was rooting for, if you go back to yesterday's episode 2, and you review kind of what I said, basically what I said was I wanted to see us sweep this external high to the long side, and then I wanted to see some nice, beautiful displacement to the downside, retrace back into the fair value gap that we would create here, and then eventually go and take out the low of the week that we created Sunday evening. And then going into Monday morning, we have these relative equal lows. So that's kind of what I was looking for today. My bias was short. Let's go ahead, jump in here and see what actually happened. So as you can see here, we ended up actually getting this displacement. And we ended up, here's your market structure shift, quickly followed by your fair value gap that you had here. And then you also had another fair value gap here. So just kind of rewinding it back to this morning. This is what I saw this morning. I saw the market structure shift that we had. I saw the fair value gap that we had created. I saw us jump and reach into this fair value gap here. So immediately coming into this morning at 6 a.m., I'm down here and I'm looking to see what are we going to do? How are we going to react in this 4-hour fair value gap? Are we going to get a move once we get into our ICT kill zone? I start trading at 8 a.m. So I'm sitting here. I saw the market this morning at about 6 a.m. There wasn't really much for me to do this morning at that hour. But I was still here just to watch and see what would happen. I was waiting until 8 a.m. And actually what I was kind of hoping was we would come up here and sweep this external. And we would also sweep this external here. And then we would get our market structure shift fair value gap to the downside. Hopefully retest that. And then I could find an entry model on the 1-minute chart. So if we just kind of let this play out for a second, you can see, boom, immediately. 8:30, we had unemployment claims. So unemployment claims pushed us. We swept all of these externals. I was really hoping at this point that we would see a nice big move to the downside to eventually reach down to that level that we have marked out on the 4-hour. That unfortunately did not end up playing out. So as you can see, we kind of came down here, respected this fair value gap. Normally, I would take this trade out of the 15-minute fair value gap long. I would dig down onto the 1-minute chart. I would try to find, an execution model down there to get long, but my 4-hour bias over here was just so short. You have to keep in mind, this candle hadn't closed yet. So I was hoping for this fair value gap to be respected. And then we would make our move to the downside. We would come sweep this external here, and then we would come and sweep these down here. But that's obviously not what ended up happening. I did actually end up catching a trade today, though. Here we are in the 15-minute. It was most certainly outside of when I would normally want to come in and take a trade. But I believe I took it somewhere right around in here at 11:15. So I'll just quickly jump back over here. Basically what I was looking for at this point, we've already come up. We're out of premium. I mean, this is just great long structure. So basically what I was looking for was either a retracement back into this fair value gap here, or a retracement back into this fair value gap here. And then I drop down to the 1 minute and I would start looking for a continuation play. So if we drop down to the 1 minute here and just kind of let it play out, you'll see what ends up happening, right? So what I'm looking for on the 1 minute, we came down here, we created this low, right? And then we came and we swept this sell side liquidity here. What did we do after we immediately swept that sell side liquidity? We displaced. When we displaced, what did we do? We created a market structure shift here. And then in this market structure shift, what do we have? We have those lovely, beautiful things called fair value gaps. So I was looking at this, right? So we have this 1 minute market structure shift fair value gap that lines up perfect. What I'm looking for at this point, market structure shift, fair value gap, I'm looking for a pullback into this area. My stop loss is all the way down here for about a 45-point stop loss, and this is my trade. My first TP, you could argue, should have been here. I wasn't very interested in this TP because it's only a 1.5 risk to reward, and that's not what I'm about. I'll only take anything 2R or higher. It just really depends what our higher time frame draw is in my head at that time. We'll get there in just one moment. So what ends up happening, kind of just create some structure here. Bang. I'm tapped in at this point. Okay. Boom. Whatever. That's a terrible fill, but it'll work. So I'm tapped in at this point. And if we come back over here onto this 15-minute chart, we've already swept a lot of this liquidity here. Actually, at this point in time when I've taken this trade, you have to forget about this piece here. But at this point in time when I've taken this trade, we haven't swept this liquidity over here yet. So I had this marked out on my chart as the external draw on liquidity. Take this all the way up here. You're looking at 4.23 risk to reward. Did I hold my position all the way up here to this point? No, absolutely not. But what I did do is hold my position to this point here. I ended up taking this trade on my evaluation through my funded futures all the way to 100 points. Actually, I ended up getting out at about 90 points for just at 2R. Because if you can tell by the timing, this isn't great timing. I do technically trade from 8 a.m. to noon, but I really would prefer to not be taking trades in between 11 a.m. and then 12 noon. I will sometimes, especially if I'm just on evaluations like I was today. Currently, I'm waiting on Apex to approve my payout on my funded account. So I'm just on my funded futures on this evaluation, playing high risk, trying to get it passed while I wait on my Apex payout. So anyways, that's the trade I took today. It ended up running for about 2R is where I ended up getting out. But I mean, realistically, had you held this trade to the end of the day, you would have hit 4.5R for a total of 204, almost 205 points. So it really ended up being a great trade. But like I said, my bias was short going into today, so that was wrong. But it's no big deal. You've got to adjust. Your bias won't always be right. In fact, you'll probably get your bias wrong half of the time. But realistically, that's no big deal as long as you're able to adapt and stay versatile with the market, stay ready. Coming into tomorrow, I'll be honest, I'm not sure what to say. If you look at the weekly, we've came down on the weekly chart. And we've swept this liquidity. Just barely, but we did sweep this external liquidity, and now we've moved back up. I'm guessing that tomorrow we either make a small move to the downside and close this candle down on the weekly, or we just chop and kind of stay exactly where we are here. So you've got your market structure shift right here. There's a fair value gap up here, but I don't care about that. The fair value gap that I do care about, that I hope remains, is this fair value gap here. I really want to see this hold going into next week. And then maybe on Monday or Tuesday, right? So let's say that this candle does end up closing something like this, right? Let's say this is the candle close down here somewhere, and this fair value gap holds. I would love to see next week open up to get into this fair value gap and then fall. Obviously, this big move won't happen all at once in 1 week, or maybe it will, but this is just kind of the gist of what I'm hoping to see going into next week. But relative to tomorrow, I'm really not sure. Tomorrow is one of those days where I'm going to get there. I get to work at 7 a.m., but I check the markets when I wake up at 5:30 a.m. and then again at 6. So when I get into work at 7, I'll certainly be watching for both longs and shorts. Again, I'm only trading on evals right now because I'm waiting on Apex, so I'll be waiting on both long and shorts. This is kind of hard PA to read for me because this was technically bullish market structure. Swing high, swing low, higher high, lower low, higher high, right? And then we came down and we swept this liquidity, and we also swept this liquidity here. And now, as you can tell, we've displaced, but your market structure shift is here. So technically, we're not even in bullish market structure yet until we displace above this level. What I would be okay with seeing is now and then through London session, this candle here continues, and it continues, boom, 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 right? So I would like to see us overnight create a fair value gap, and then coming into tomorrow morning, right? So London session creates the fair value gap here. This move here into the fair value gap would be, let's say, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And then from 8 a.m. to the rest of the day, I would be looking long. And my target would probably be this external up here. But if I were to let all of that play out, then, as you can see, this fair value gap would no longer exist on the weekly. And then next week, it's a whole lot more complicated. So like I said, I could really see how the market could play long tomorrow, and I could really see how the market could play short. But at the end of the day, as traders, we come in to the market every single day with a fresh head, ready to be an observer, ready to stay patient, ready to jump on any opportunity that the market gives us, but not being too eager to jump to the point that it clouds our judgment. There's a perfect amount of patience, and there's also a perfect amount of aggression. For me, I tend to be too aggressive, and I have a trading partner. His name is Sam. He tends to be a little more selective at times and a little more patient, and together we end up balancing each other out really well. If you're a new trader, I've been at this for years, and I'm only just now becoming profitable. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I have to offer to you is to find a trading partner who's going to be there for you day in, day out, through the highs, through the lows, and someone whom you know will absolutely never give up on you, on the journey, on striving for profitability, and overall just on bettering yourself and then bettering each other. You have to have someone, maybe it's a mentor, maybe it's one of your friends IRL, maybe it's a family member you want to learn trading with, or maybe you just meet some random guy on Discord, similar to what I've done with my good friend Sam. But no matter what, I encourage every single one of you, whoever may find this, go out and find a partner. Just do it, man. That concludes this episode. Today was episode 3. Sorry to get deep there, but Sam has been a huge help for me, and I wouldn't be here without him, so shout out to that guy. That concludes episode 3. To those who may find this, thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great Thursday evening. And I hope you have a great Friday, and I hope you have a great weekend. I'll be back here tomorrow evening, Friday. You can expect another upload around this time. I would say 5 p.m. tomorrow. And I would say expect an upload every single day that the market is open from here on out. On weekends, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll upload some educational content on weekends. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But I will be here every day after the market is closed, reviewing that day's price action, reviewing that day's trades, and making my predictions for what will be to come of the next day. Thank you guys so much. Have a great evening. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. It's been SquireTrades.